Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Welcome, everyone. I feel so honored to be up here. And yes, I'm going to talk about why thy will. Thy will being divine will, which is our theme for August. And instead of my will, the small me, my ego will, what I think should be right and how I think things should be, that's me in my small will. And so to begin, I want to take you back in time, at least a few years, when you were just a small child. When I was 4, this is what? A cardboard box, right? Everybody knows that. But when I was 4 years old, it was a lot more than a cardboard box. It was a race car in 1 minute, a submarine in the next, a boat going down the Amazon with alligators in the water. Holy danger everywhere, and it was a grand adventure. I loved it. And then the next moment, it was a fort. And then it was a cave. It was whatever I could dream up, whatever I could imagine, this cardboard box became that. And I could play for hours in a simple little cardboard box. Why? Because as a small child, I knew something that as I grew older, was told is not the truth. When I looked at this cardboard box, I didn't see just a cardboard box. I saw possibility. I saw adventure. I saw whatever I imagined. And it became real for me. In other words, I saw the cardboard box not as a particle, not as just a cardboard box, but as a wave of possibility and potential. Now, what if I had it right all along? What if you ever seen a child play? They have so much fun with the simplest things. A broom becomes a flying machine, a magic carpet, a horse. That's because children see things as a wave. How many of you have heard this idea that we're moving into a multi-dimensional reality? Yes, a few of you. What does that mean? That's what I want to talk about today. It's the difference, really, between my will and thy will. As a child, looking at that cardboard box, it was a wave, and so it could be whatever I wanted it to be. When I got older and I started living from my head, I would label everything. Because that's what I was taught in school. We were taught to label everything. And that a cardboard box was just a cardboard box and it couldn't be anything else. Because when we're in our heads, we do not think multidimensionally. We do not see the waves of reality around us. What we see are the particleized, collapsed waves that we create in our own minds. And that we were taught to create. We were told what was right, what was wrong, what was good, what was bad, and it couldn't be anything else. And we as adults have this silly idea that that's how reality really is. Reality is not a wave. Reality is a particle, and if you can't see it, taste it, touch it, smell it, it doesn't exist. It's not real. That's what we were told. When we turned the cardboard box into a boat, that wasn't real. And so we think we outgrew that. But I want to, who's fallen in love? Who's fallen out of love? So, guess what? Your partner was a cardboard box. And when you first met them, it was the most beautiful box you had ever seen. Is that not so? And it lit up your world. And they could do no wrong. And so what we did is we took the wave that person actually is. They are not just one thing. They are all things. From the brightest, whitest good to the darkest, darkest black bad. We all have that potential to be anything and in between. From the worst, from the greatest, the best, to the worst. And all points in between. Now, I don't know if you can see this or read it. There's, up here is the wave. Now, quantum physics came along in the early 1900s and changed the world. And when I first heard about quantum physics, I was blown away. Because in quantum physics, they tell you that they did the double slit experiment. Who's heard of the double slit experiment that they use in quantum physics? A few of you. So I'll give you a little brief history. They started doing these experiments to determine if a light particle, a photon of light, was a particle or a wave. Some scientists said it was a wave, and other scientists said it was a particle. So which was it? And so they did experiments. But what they discovered in doing the experiments is the person doing the experiment, the consciousness of the person doing the experiment, affected the outcome of the experiment. So a scientist who was convinced that a light photon was a wave would do experiments to prove it, and guess what? The experiment showed that it was a wave. But the other scientists said, no, that can't be right. I'm going to do my own experiments. And they did, because I know it's a particle. And guess what? Their experiments proved that it was a particle. So in Buddhism, they say that we're popping in and out of existence 60,000 times a second. 60,000 times a second. What does that mean? It means we're moving between a wave and a particle constantly. And in quantum physics, the particle can be anywhere along that wave. And this is what they were showing, is that based on your experiments and the consciousness of the people that were doing the experiments, you could change the position of the particle along that wave. And when it collapsed, it would be in a certain position on the wave. But they could never predict it 100%. They could only call it, what they started to call it was probabilities. There's a probability that the wave will collapse at a certain time and space, in space. So we are doing this in each and every moment of each and every day, with every judgment, every opinion, every belief that we have. We are turning waveforms into particles. Just like that lover that you saw, that was the most beautiful thing in the world. You collapse that wave way over, this is the lowest frequencies, the darkest of the dark, the heavy, dense, evil people and do all the bad things you see in the world are very low on the frequency level. But as we raise our vibration, as we raise our frequency, like we do when we tone the sound ah, we lift our frequency. And this is based on David Hawkins. I'm sure Claude is happy that I'm up here talking about this because that's his big thing, David Hawkins and the scale of consciousness. Who's aware of that, the scale of consciousness? David Hawkins showed a different frequency of vibrations up to 200 where it's all kind of black. It's all shadows, starting from a light gray down to a black. There's really no color. And that's when we're in that low frequency, in the negative frequencies of shame is the lowest. When we're deep in shame, we're at a very low frequency. Then guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride at 175. And then there's a line at 200 that, who's listened to Karen Klassen give a talk? She's been here speaking at Unity several times, and she talks about the freedom frequency. And what she was talking about was David Hawkins' map of consciousness and the frequency of 200 and above. That's where we're free. That's the freedom frequency. And that starts at 200 is courage, because it takes courage to get out of that low frequency vibration. I spent decades in there, and it took me a long time to figure it out, to step out of these lower vibrations and realize that I was the one creating them. So how do I create them? Look at that. Oh, let me just give you a fairly recent example, actually. Someone slashed 2 of my tires. And when it first happened, and I saw that somebody had come and slashed 2 of my tires, and I had to buy 2 new tires, I was upset. And I thought, what a terrible person. And what I was doing when I was saying that was I was collapsing the wave into a particle. Right here. Anger. Kind of a colorless frequency. And all of these frequencies, the black frequencies, are supported by a platform. And this platform has 4 legs. And the legs are fear, lack, separateness, or separation, consciousness, and control. That's what we do. When I'm angry, I'm in this. Fear, lack, oh no, I just lost 2 tires. It's going to cost me $400 at least. It was about almost $500 to get 2 new tires. I lost, that's lack consciousness. I was separate from that person who slashed my tires. That's not me. I would never do that because I'm a good person. But whoever did it was a bad person. And I collapsed the wave, and I was in this negative energy, stuck. But it only lasted for a few minutes because I'd been on this spiritual path for a lot of years, and I wanted to be in the freedom frequency. I knew this. I knew that if I raised my vibration, it would set me free. And so what did I do? I accepted what had happened. Acceptance is in the freedom frequency. And there's color there. There's life. There's vibrancy. And there's power. Personal power. When I was able to accept that my tires were slashed and I was going to have to go buy 2 new tires, I was willing to let go of my anger. It was a conscious choice. And I said, this is not happening to me. This is happening for me. So let's look at it like that. And what did I do when I did that? What I did was I dissolved this particle and turned it back into a wave. And then I collapsed the wave over here instead of over here where I felt powerless. And there was nothing I could do. And it could happen again. Over here, I was I felt powerful. I felt, wow. And I learned so much from that one simple thing of accepting that I'd have to go buy 2 new tires. And by accepting and being willing to forgive, there was no anger there anymore. There was no residual negativity that stuck to me. It was effortless. I simply went down, and took me a couple days to get the old tires down there, see if they could fix them. No, we can't. Okay, buy 2 new tires. All the while, I had just let go, and I'm going to stay in the love vibration. Our new commitment. I'm committed to living in the love vibration. And I consciously made that choice, and my wave collapsed over here, where I had some power. And I learned so much. It was a powerful gift for me. And I was able to send love to that person who had slashed my tires, because I knew they were over here somewhere. People over here do not slash tires. They're in a darker place, a heavier place, with less options. And the further down you go here, the less options you have. The higher your vibration, the more opportunities and options, possibilities are available. And so I am consciously letting go of my judgments now, because I do not want to collapse the wave anymore. Over here is thy will. Divine will lives here. God does not want you to suffer. God does not want you to feel shame. And God is you. If you know the principles, the unity principles at all, the very first principle is God is everywhere present. And the second principle is, I am that. I am as God created me. There's a recent meme that came out. I think it was Sarah Landon that shared it, and says, just remember, the council keeps telling us, remember. You are your soul's greatest creation. You are your soul's greatest creation. What if that were true? What if you chose to believe that? That means that all my frailties, all the times I was less than who I wanted to be, all the times I did things that I felt shame about or felt guilty about, they must be part of the plan. Because my higher self is in touch with God. They're talking all the time. And so God wouldn't let my higher self make me the way I'm made if it wasn't for a purpose, if it wasn't for a higher good. So over here, there's another platform, and this is our higher self, the divine will. When we're choosing from the divine perspective, we stand on a different platform. And if you notice, the 4 words that are holding up this platform are the exact opposite of what holds up this platform, which is my separate will. Because my conscious will is constantly collapsing the wave, because it wants to be in control. It wants to know what's going on. So it's constantly turning what could be infinite possibility into 1 or 2 possibilities, because it's easier to control that way, easier to understand, easier to think that there's some kind of security there. On this platform over here, you've got love, plenty, absolute abundance, unity consciousness. You no longer see the other, the person that slashed my tires, as something other than part of me. We are one. And surrender. Surrender is so important if you want to live a happy life. And if you want to turn your cardboard box into something that gives you joy. Something you can have fun with. You watch any child play, they are having a blast. And you know, God's will for us is to be happy and joyful. It's really simple. That's what God wants. So when you're making choices that make you feel happy and joyful and light and connected, you are making divine choices. You are in alignment with the divine. And when you are making choices that are turning other people into bad people, negative people, people you don't want to be a part of, people you want to try to get away from, people that you think are separate from you, people that you think are going to take something away from you, and you're going to experience lack, that's not where I want to live anymore. Do you? Is that where you want to live? Well, guess what? You have the power to change any situation. You have the power to collapse any wave, and guess what? Every relationship you have, every person you know, every member of your family, every friend, every authority figure, every politician, every chance encounter on the street, what you're actually doing is you're seeing a cardboard box. For they are all cardboard boxes, every single one of them. And not just people, but situations, like getting your tires slashed. They're all cardboard boxes, but they are not just one kind of cardboard box. They are not just a particle. They are a wave. Just like that lover you had that turned into this horrible person that you can't even stand to be in the same room with. Guess what? They're a wave. Sometimes they were good, especially when you first met. Aren't you always on the best behavior when you first meet someone? So you get to see the best of them? That's who they are. And when they're mean, or they say something that hurts you, or they betray your trust, well, guess what? That's who they are too. And so how do you want to see them? Someone who's dark, in the dark, it's easy to see them. I know lots of people love to hate Trump. That Trump is evil. He's just the worst kind of, half the country in the States hates him. Can't stand him. They painted him very black. So finally, I'm going to talk about this is me or you, and this is the relationship you have with someone, anyone. And so I'm going to pick Trump here. This is me, Bob. This is Trump. Now, I like Trump. I think he's doing good things. But imagine that I'm just going to pretend, because I can do that, so can we all, that I'm one of those Trump haters. And so he's done evil things. He's disrespects women. He says he lies all the time. You can't trust him. So what I'm doing, and this circle here is his aura, and this circle here is my aura. So I'm painting him black, black, black. He's just the most horrible person, and we got to get rid of him. And somebody tried to assassinate him, and darn it, they missed. If only we could get rid of Trump, things would be so much better, right? So if it was true, if he was black, he's not just that. He's got a family. You think he doesn't love his children? Think he doesn't love his wife? You think he hasn't hurt his children? You think he hasn't hurt his wife? Can you say, isn't that what's true for all of us? Haven't we hurt the people we've loved? Haven't we loved the people we've loved? Haven't we been all along this wave? Sometimes in shame, sometimes guilty, sometimes prideful, sometimes angry, sometimes fearful, sometimes grieving. And haven't we been courageous at times? Neutral at times, willing at times, accepting at times, reasonable at times, loving, joyful, peaceful at times, even enlightened in some moments. Wow. So if he's black, and I add more black onto his aura, is that going to make him better? Is that going to show the light that's inside of him? No. But that's not all. See right here? That's where our auras interact. That's where his aura touches mine and my aura touches his. And in all relationships, that's what happens. And so when I'm painting his aura black, in the Course in Miracles, they say, a thought never leaves its source. So if I have all these black thoughts about Trump, for one, it's not going to make things better. It's just going to make it blacker. But that's not all. I'm painting my own aura the same color. The same blacks I'm painting onto Trump, I'm painting on me. If I see him as a very bad person and it makes me angry, I'm the one feeling the anger. I'm the one that's lowering my frequency. And if I feel he's the president, what can I do? I can't do anything. Then I'm making myself helpless. And I'm lowering my frequency even more. If we want to turn the bad people into good people, we cannot use the blackness, the badness. Darkness does not chase out the darkness. It just makes it darker. Light chases out the darkness. So if I want to change Trump, instead of seeing him as a bad person, I have to see his light. I have to look and see him being loving and kind. And I have to, if I was in his presence, I would point it out every time he was kind, every time he was loving. I'd say, oh, look at you. You're kind. You're loving. And a little more light would shine in his aura. And a little more light would shine in mine. And instead of coloring him black, I could start to add a bit of orange, a bit of yellow, a bit of willingness, a bit of acceptance, a bit of forgiveness. And his aura gets lighter. But so does mine. Gets lighter and lighter. And of course, all of these auras are in a bigger circle called the field, God, source, energy, whatever you want to call it. And so when I'm adding more color into my aura, I'm adding it into the field. I'm adding it into the world. That's why I love our meditation in the morning, in the evenings, when we send out that awe, that vibration of love, because I know it is making a difference. And it is going out into the field. And it is shining, making the light a little bit brighter and the shadow a little bit softer, a little easier to take. So when you're looking at your partner next, your child, your friend, stop looking at them like they're a particle, like they're just one thing. Start seeing them as the wave. Start seeing them, seeing the potential and the possibility in that person. And collapse the waves over here in the freedom frequency. Allow them to be who they are. Love them for no good reason. Laugh. Have fun. Play. Let your inner child come back out. Let your imagination come alive again. And start to paint the world in colors that give you joy and happiness and peace.